Once you understand this, people can't manipulate you again. There's a specific moment that happens before someone manipulates you, and you never see it coming. It's not when they ask for the favor. It's not when they guilt you. It's not even when they make you feel small. It happens weeks earlier, sometimes months. It's the moment they realize something about you that you don't even know about yourself. They discover your door, the one you didn't know you left unlocked, and once they find it, they can walk in whenever they want. Most people spend their entire lives wondering why the same patterns keep repeating, why they always end up in the same position, why certain people can pull their strings like a puppet. But they're asking the wrong question. The question isn't why people manipulate you. It's what are you protecting that makes manipulation even possible. Her name was Maya. To everyone around her, she was dependable. The person who showed up. The one who remembered birthdays, covered shifts, stayed late to help finish projects that weren't hers. People said she had a good heart. What they didn't say, but definitely noticed, was that she couldn't say no. Not without apologizing 3 times, explaining herself, offering alternatives, making sure no one was upset. Maya worked at a design studio, talented, but invisible. She watched others take credit for ideas she whispered in meetings, watched promotions go to people who did half the work she did. And whenever it happened, she told herself the same thing. It's fine, I'm just here to help. That's who I am. But deep down, in a place she didn't like to look, there was something else. A fear. The fear that if she stopped being useful, stopped being nice, stopped saying yes, people would see the truth. That maybe, without all of that, she wasn't enough. Then Daniel joined the team. Charming, confident, he had that effortless way of making people feel seen. When he talked to Maya, he leaned in, remembered details, asked about her weekend. Within 2 weeks, he'd borrowed her designs just for inspiration. Within a month, he was asking her to cover his deadlines while he met with clients. And Maya, she said yes, because it felt good to be needed. One evening, she stayed until midnight finishing a presentation Daniel was supposed to deliver. Her own work sat untouched. When she finally sent him the file, his response was immediate. "You're a lifesaver. Honestly, don't know what I'd do without you." She stared at those words and felt nothing. No pride, no warmth, just exhaustion. The next day, Daniel presented her work as his own, got applause from the client, a nod of approval from their boss. Maya sat in the back of the room, silent. That night, a friend asked her a simple question. "Why do you let him do that to you?" She didn't have an answer. Because the truth was worse than being used. The truth was, she didn't know how to exist any other way. Here's what was actually happening. Maya wasn't being manipulated because she was kind. She was being manipulated because her self-worth had a condition attached to it. She had learned, somewhere deep in her past, that love and acceptance weren't free. They had to be earned. And the way you earned them was by being useful, agreeable, low maintenance. So her identity became tied to a single belief. I am valuable when I am needed. Psychologists call this external validation. Your sense of worth doesn't come from within, it comes from how others respond to you. And manipulators, they can smell that from across a room. Because people like Maya send signals, microsignals. They apologize too much. They over-explain. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They fill silence with anxiety. And those signals say one thing. I need you to approve of me more than I need to respect myself. Daniel didn't manipulate Maya because he was evil. He manipulated her because she had already taught him that it would work. Every time she said yes when she meant no, she reinforced the pattern. Every time she prioritized his comfort over her boundaries, she handed him the blueprint. Manipulation isn't just about the manipulator. It's about the door you leave open, the part of you that believes you're not allowed to close it. But here's where it gets darker. Because once that door is open, it doesn't just let in one person. It lets in everyone. Maya's manager started piling extra work on her because she never pushed back. Her friends started cancelling plans last minute because they knew she'd understand. Even strangers at coffee shops felt entitled to her time, her energy, her attention. And the worst part? She started to resent them, not openly, not even consciously, but it was there, a quiet bitterness growing beneath the surface. Because deep down, she was angry. Angry at Daniel, angry at her boss, angry at everyone who took and never gave back. But she couldn't admit that. Because admitting it would mean admitting something even more terrifying. That she had let it happen. That every single time she had a choice, and every single time she chose to betray herself. So the resentment turned inward. She started believing she was weak, pathetic, a doormat. And that belief became a new kind of prison. Because now she wasn't just afraid of losing people. She was afraid of who she'd become if she stayed. Then something unexpected happened. Maya's mother called. They didn't talk often. The conversations were always light, surface level. But this time, her mother said something that cracked everything open. You were always such an easy child. Never caused problems. I didn't have to worry about you. It was meant as a compliment. But Maya heard something else. She heard, you were loved because you didn't ask for anything. And suddenly, she saw it. The pattern didn't start with Daniel. It didn't start at work. It started decades ago. In a home where being good meant being invisible. Where love felt conditional. Where the safest way to exist was to make yourself small, useful, and uncomplicated. She had spent her entire life trying to earn something she thought she had to deserve. And the people who manipulated her weren't villains. They were just filling a role she had unconsciously cast them in. The twist wasn't that people were using her. The twist was that on some level, she needed to be used. Because being needed was the only proof she had that she mattered. And without it, she didn't know who she was. The next morning, Daniel dropped another project on her desk. Can you handle this by Friday? I'm slammed. Maya looked at him. Then at the work. Then at herself. And for the first time, she felt something shift. Not anger, not confidence. Just clarity. She spoke quietly, calmly. No. Daniel blinked. What? I can't. I have my own deadlines. Come on, Maya. You always... I know what I always do, she interrupted. But not this time. Silence. He stared at her like she'd just spoken a foreign language. And maybe she had. Because this was the first time she'd ever put herself on the same level of importance as someone else. Daniel left without another word. And Maya sat there, heart pounding, waiting for the guilt to crush her. But it didn't come. What came instead was something unfamiliar. Relief. Here's what she finally understood. Manipulation doesn't work on people who know their worth. Not because they're strong, not because they're fearless, but because they've stopped outsourcing their value. The moment you stop needing other people to tell you you're enough, you become unmanipulatable. Because manipulation only works when someone can offer you something you think you can't give yourself. Approval, validation, belonging. But when you realize that those things were always yours to claim, the door closes. Not with anger, not with bitterness, just with quiet certainty. You stop being afraid of disappointing people, because you're no longer willing to disappoint yourself. And the people who truly care about you, they stay. The ones who were only there because you were useful, they disappear. And for the first time, you realize that's not loss. That's clarity. Maya never became cold. She didn't build walls or shut people out. She just stopped leaving the door unlocked. Because she finally understood. The people who deserve access to your life will never make you feel like you have to earn it. And the ones who do, they were never seeing you in the first place. They were just seeing what you could do for them. Once you understand that, no one can manipulate you again. If this made you see a door you didn't know you left open, subscribe. Because the most dangerous prison isn't built by others. It's built by the version of yourself you're too afraid to disappoint.